African continent. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Chiedza CheAfrica podcast, where we shine the light on Africa's brilliance on education, science and technology, entrepreneurship, sustainable developmental goals, and the people that are doing amazing in uplifting youth, girls, and also doing something meaningful for their communities. And today I am joined by a brilliant chef from all the way from Zimbabwe. His name is Chef Itayi, and on this podcast he's going to be sharing with us his journey as a chef, his journey into entrepreneurship, his journey on the activities that he has been doing for the community, and all the things that I thought I knew nothing about. So yeah, and all the things about food, cultural identity. Yes, he is the guy to listen to if you're all into that stuff. Me, I'm a big fan of identity, preserving culture, history. So I am going to learn a lot on how I can really actually amplify that through food from Chef Itayi. Chef Itayi, welcome to Chiedza CheAfrica podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much excited. I hope you lead us, and I'm sure we'll go to nice places today.
What today's the stage, so I'm gonna be following you.
Okay.
I'm just a pretty cool audience that is going to be listening to you, taking
Alright,
notes,
cool.
and learning from everything that you have to share with us. So I know I did an introduction, but I don't want to take all the sunshine from you. So maybe you can really introduce yourself to our African audience on who really is Chef Itayi.
All right. Well, hi. So Chef Itai, being myself, is a humble go-getter, thinks out the box, and someone who's just hungry for more, and to break barriers and to go as far as I can with the career of being a chef, as well as being a Zimbabwean chef. I think that's a very pivotal thing in what I do, because I feel, especially in Zimbabwe and Africa, we have lots of ground to cover in terms of how our food consumption affects our long-term diets. You have countries, for example, like Japan, high age expectancy. In Africa, we have low age expectancy. Yet, the funny thing is, in Africa, we have the organic food. So it's things journeying through that, whilst trying to make a living through that, whilst trying to get recognition and people to see what we're about, is what Chef Itayi is trying to navigate. But yeah, it's just a funny guy, simple, laid back, very passionate. But when we're working very hard. So yeah, if you do see me in the street, just say hi.
Yes, please just say hi. So you mentioned something that I think we're going to talk about later on within the episode, on how here in Africa we have most of the organic food, but then the way that we consume non-organic food is really concerning, and that is something that we need to talk about. Now, still at your background as Chef Itayi, what really pushed you? Because we come from African households. You don't just wake up and say I want to be a chef, and your parents will be like, yes. Go for it. They'll be like, no, this is not for us. Don't you want the traditional jobs, being a teacher, being a doctor, being a lawyer? So what really pushed you to say, no, I want to be a chef? That is where my passion is. And how did your parents and family accepted you wanting to take this path growing up?
Yeah, so that's a very lovely question. Every time I answer it, people always find it funny. So how I became a chef, what really pushed me, and how I navigated it through an African household. I think many chefs do go through this, especially in African households. So back then, when I was still coming out of high school, and my parents was supporting me, they had a quest. They said, okay, we're going to support you. However, the environment, so I guess at the time, and even now, there's still a lot of unemployed chefs and chefs who are not looking for work, as well as chefs who are underpaid, if not even paid at all, just getting paid transport. So they said, they wanted me to study abroad, which I was blessed to do. So they said, do something before the chefing thing that you can fall back on. Then we will be at peace, we will not stand in your way. So I said, oh, okay, that's wonderful, thank you. So I actually did an accounting degree first. But all through accounting, this degree, I was working part-time in a restaurant as a chef, as well as I was now doing catering gigs to raise funds for my own pocket money, as well as my fund money. So during this time, this is when I was starting to explore different cuisines, different kinds of setups, and luckily I was cooking in a I guess, world-class environment was abroad. So I really took lessons from that. So yeah, I guess to answer your question is I had to do a degree first. I did a degree in accounting. So I checked that box. Then they said you're free to do what you like. And then I actually started working professionally without actual formal training. So I was doing I was working as a private chef for a boutique hotel in Cape Town for a couple of years. We were doing very well. We were having guests from all over the world, from Belgium, Europe. And the lady took me on because she'd eaten food I had made somewhere else, and she said, "I'm starting a hotel. Let's go." I told her I don't have. She's like, "No, I just like your vibe and everything." So sometimes your energy, and you never know who you're talking to. So that's important. So she was pivotal to my career. So she took me on, and then what happened was during COVID, her business kind of shut down. So I was like, okay, we're all sitting down. So I went to formalize and further my culinary education. So that's how I ended up going to Greece. And I think that's when I started to, my culinary expertise, repertoire, knowledge jumped some steps. Because Europe, Greece, those are excellent places for culinary. And then from then on, it's just been a sprint. We went to the States working as an apprenticeship, then worked in leadership in some of the leading hotels. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
That's a pretty interesting journey that you have there, Chef Itai. And one thing that you mentioned, I think we all do that because we come from households whereby our parents don't understand that no, you can actually do something other than make something better in life. On how we are all getting these degrees for our parents. And then I'm still glad that you going into accounting, doing this part-time culinary, and you finding someone who was pivotal to pushing and establishing you as Chef Itayi, that you have an incredible and an inspiring journey. And I will give you a round of applause for that.
Okay, thank you.
On how you articulated that. Now, so you said you went to Greece, Europe, to further your culinary knowledge. So you've been a Zimbabwean chef. How were you really able to open your mind to endless possibilities from the way cooking is done here in Africa and the way that we know cuisine to be, and going into another space where but this is totally different from how I have known foods to be? How was the whole experience for you in Europe?
So my experience in Europe was great, but it had also its downside. You're pretty much a minority, and of course in every society not everyone is open-minded, so you face challenges like racism, nepotism. So I think I been lucky to be able to analyze, or one of my first mentors told me, every time you face a problem, it's an opportunity. So if, for example, I'm working in an environment where there's nepotism, favoritism of some sort, whether it's a skin thing, a gender thing, and it's like, okay, we're only promoting, for example, white chefs. What I'm going to do myself is I'm going to work so hard, you're going to find it hard to not promote me. Then you're going to find yourself feeling, what's the word, maybe stupid for not considering me. Exactly. So I'm going to work so hard, do so much that you have to, I'm forcing your hand. So I think in that, I've carried that everywhere I go. So sometimes, yes, I got formal training, but it's the skills that you take on. So I also put a high importance of mentorship, because these are things you see, or someone who's done where you've been, and they help you see things in a different light. And then it also opened me to world-class standards, things like professionalism, being on time. That's something we lack in Africa. People just take things laissez-faire. I heard someone catering for someone's wedding. Lunch was supposed to be at 2. They showed up at 6 p.m. It's things like that. In Europe and abroad, you don't see that kind of thing. Everything is time-centered. People are paid by the hour. So it's things like that I learned, as well as technology how I've also realized and noticed how we are behind innovation, gastronomy. So gastronomy means doing fun things with food, but still maintaining the traditional ingredients of flavors and texture. So yeah, I guess you can travel food, and now I have the ability to help people who can't afford to travel by eating. Yeah.
Maybe I can start. Maybe.
I'll,
That's really
I'll make you a
interesting.
hero. I'll make you a hero.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you
yes,
very
yes.
much.
Yeah.
Now let's get into more of the empowerment phase of your job, empowerment stages. Can you how deep does your work goes just beyond the chef identity for
Yes.
you?
So as Chef Itayi, that's part of one thing I am. I also have a catering company that I've started. It's called Bird's Nest. So Bird's Nest has a philanthropic division. Uh, so what we do in that division is we do charity events. So the idea as we build our own capital base for that division is what we started we started to do outreach programs. So we do a drive, we collect things, then we go and cook food for kids. So instead of just coming and giving people kids, we cook with them. So we kind of show them a skill or two. But the long-term vision of that is I want to open a trade school of some sort. So what happens is there's a lot of people in children's homes, when they get to the age of maturity and they're being asked to leave, they don't have any skills. So the idea is to do a trade school, like I said. So whether it's being a chef, whether it's to be a plumber, whether it's to be electrician, something that they enjoy. Of course, I'll be biased to being a chef, but it's, as long as they enjoy something, the idea is to have a trade school where they get those skills. Maybe once they get to the age of 16, 17, they start to do that, and then hopefully we'll have enough to give them capital to start off once they leave the children's home. Because what usually happens is that gap between leaving the children's home and by the time, this is usually where we lose a lot of the youth towards whether it's drugs, whether it's a lot of things. It can be into sexual abuse, all that stuff, trafficking, because people become desperate. So I saw that gap. So far we're working within our constraints. We've reached out to a couple of children's home. We've sent bricks over. So yeah, but also in my daily operations, I give a lot of opportunities to youth. So I work with youth from all over Harare, from different walks of life. You'd be surprised. Some of my staff have no culinary background, but I believe in a good attitude, hustle, and once you have that, you can teach someone anything. And so I do give opportunity, like I said, to a lot of youth. They have a opportunity to work, and then they also get something to take home, as well as I empower them. If they have a business that they want to do, we say, what's your business plan? Let's see how we can help each other, and then we try to get them on the path where they get there or where they want to go to as well.
And also, can I start my culinary
Cool.
classes?
Yes, you can start your culinary classes. But yeah, it's an open book. We like to share, and because we learn from each other actually.
True, definitely true. So you mentioned the outreach programs and the projects that you're doing. So now coming back to about the opportunity you're getting first day by day. In your world, how can food or the culinary industry as a whole contribute to sustainable development goals, and how can the culinary industry also contribute into creating this opportunity in a society whereby people are just not, because you mentioned that young people are not desperate to get the bag and to have something on their table, but how can we now teach them to say no, this is something that uh, you can start without needing much capital. You can start with things around you. uh, how can you really structure it in your world?
In our world. So let me give you a quick little background. So when I started my culinary thing, or culinary cooking, my culinary firm in Zimbabwe, I literally started with my mom's stove, but not her kitchen stove.
You know those motivational speakers? They'll be like, I started a restaurant with 1 grain of rice.
No, I didn't do that. But I started with the stove that they used at the so they have students at their house.
Okay.
So I borrowed the stove from the students' house because the students were on they were on leave. They had gone home, so the stove was empty. So I used that for the first 3 months. So the idea of what I'm trying to say is be resourceful. Don't be stuck on the what do I need. Don't be stuck on the of course it costs money, and I won't lie to you, you need some sort of, but reach out to your network. Everybody's willing to support you. Don't impose yourself as a victim of the environment. Namari. Oh, I don't have money. If you go and talk to someone, a family member, and give them anything and say, look, in the Dotanga culinary business, I know you eat dinner at 7 p.m. But I'm supposed to have now, and they just at 5. Don't say dinner at 6:30. Now you have a stove to use. As long as you agree. You want to eat dinner at 7, you can use the stove the whole day as long as you don't break it, and then you're really starting. Now you're starting to do jobs, So anyways, so back to So what we have, the big challenge we have, I think, is the victim mentality. The victim mentality in terms of people just think they have to be given, things have to be given toward them. If they're not called for work, or if no one pushes them, then they'll just sit down and wait for a miracle. We have to start with that part. Then the other part that personally breaks my heart, and I think this is, I don't know if I can fight it, but eventually at some point I hope I can. There's a lot of institutions that train culinary students, and they're not really registered, and their certificates hold no merit outside of the four walls. So people are spending lots of money in the hope of people get jobs, and they'll promise, oh, we'll help you with jobs, and then once the culinary students have been pushed out, but the promise in the beginning when they're looking for the money was train with us, we'll give you certification, and we'll help you place you for jobs. And I've had many students who I've worked with who are, for what they're supposedly paid, are way undertrained for that, which is a very big problem. It's almost a pandemic. So now we have, every week we have just a random number, 10,000 culinary students who are not as good as they are being made out to pay there to be, as well as they're not being supported to be placed where. So there's that. So because some of these how may I call it, these programs are not recognized outside of those four walls. You walk to a hotel, to Rainbow, you were at Mishek's training school, training baking academy. It's not Hexaco, it's not City and Guilds. It is, but they've went out to people who are vulnerable, who are looking for opportunity and education, and say, come, we're $200 a week, 6 months, maybe out in a certificate. Sorry, I used Shona, but so the idea is wooing poop. It's almost like daylight robbery. So now we have this is snowballed into where we have a big pool of supposed chefs and trained culinary students. A big pool. Now let's just use another random one, 50,000, but there's only, for example, 5,000 jobs. So what happens? Employers, some take advantage of the situation. You can work for transport or for exposure.
To widen your skills.
Yes. Oh, you don't work? Bye. I've got other 45,000 people looking for work. So, from the responsibility of people in leadership, this is where we now need to create some sort of, is it ethics or is it just professionalism? Where we say, look, let's pay people what they're worth. I know a lot of restaurants in Zimbabwe, for example, instead of hiring people, they're not hiring interns. So which also affects the quality of food or eating out in Zimbabwe, because they're not hiring professionals to cut down on their costs. So I think some people have told me there's a body, I'm still investigating, that can govern culinary schools and remove all these, I guess, fictitious or false promise schools, and start to clear that out, as well as now go and govern in the restaurants where people can actually get proper jobs and earn money, and as well get people proper certification and they get the opportunity to go abroad.
We need something that is ethical in terms of where young people are applying. We need something that is governed by certain policies, because it really doesn't make sense for me to just open a school under a tree. I invite people, they pay their money, then I send them out. Yet the certificates that I'm giving them, they're not worth anything. So we keep on. It makes it looks like we're going around in a circle. That is because the person that I'm going to give out a fake certificate to, that doesn't pay any much, when they go to apply for a job and they're told, no, but it doesn't make any sense. They will go back to being desperate again.
Yes.
The kind of negative vibes that we're trying to eradicate as a society, going into drug and substance abuse, going into sugar daddies or what, they'll eventually fall back on that as well. So yeah, this is something that the community that we live in, the society, should really think about. It's not just about, because most parents out there, in ways that you're talking about, they'll be like, no, but there's a school, you can just sit at home. But then there is need for research and awareness within our society for us to, where are we sending our children to get these skills from? How the accreditation of the school, we need to verify that as well. It does make sense. Like, we need some sort, like, not only in the culinary industry, but I think it's something that we also need in the whole industrial society of Zimbabwe, because you find that people are going under trees to get cosmetic certificates, to get dressmaking certificates, but then you won't do really much with that.
Yes.
And to also add on to that, you said that someone needs to be resourceful. Yeah, it does cost money, but being resourceful and reaching out to people that are close to you.
Your network.
Yes. Network is your network.
Exactly.
I always tell people that get messages, because I can't be saying that. I can't be saying the victim mentality each and every day. At least I have an aunt with something that she's not even using, but I can make use of it in another way. That is so inspiring. Now, Chef Itai, I also want to touch about innovation in food.
Yes.
We talked about how the culinary industry can grow and the right things to do. We also touched on the background. Now I want to come back on the innovation of food, because you've mentioned that here in Africa, in terms of technology, we have a whole gap that we need to fill. We are out of 10, maybe we are, I don't know, are we maybe less than 3?
How you see it?
Yes, that we have a whole gap that we need to cover. In countries, like in European countries, if one is to visit Italy, Greece, you will find that the culinary industry in those countries, they're actually other industries.
Lucrative, yes.
How can we also make that happen in Zimbabwe in terms of innovation with food? How can we now sit down in the parliament and say, no, the culinary industry is definitely going to contribute this much to the growth of the economy?
Yes. So that is actually a good question that makes me lose sleep each and every day. And at this point, the best solution I have, or that I have to give myself peace for, is, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Right? What came first, the chicken or the egg?
The chicken definitely came.
Okay.
But there were people like, but no, you need an egg to get the chicken.
Exactly. So now, the reason I say that is to say this, is that for technology, innovation, we need, for example, countries have R&D budgets.
This episode of Chiedza CheAfrica is proudly sponsored by Tank Pro. Tank Pro, under Elite Tank Limited, is your premier business consultancy, transforming vision into excellence for students and businesses worldwide. Offering professional short courses, website development, digital marketing, project management, bookkeeping, business support, and HR solutions. They are here to elevate your success. Dial +44 73 916 373 70, or you can WhatsApp, or visit www.tankpro.co.uk to learn more and take the next step towards your goals. Stay tuned in for more inspiring content.
So like I was saying, in other countries, it's like a research R&D budget. People have it, for example, in the States, they have the spaceship budget. They also do have budgets for culinary, for nutrition, how it affects diets, how it affects long-term life. So we need that, of course. And then the reason why I asked what comes first, the chicken or the egg, was when it comes to culinary service providers. Yes, there's a few who are doing it out there, who have the budget. But what happens is, for example, in Zimbabwe, as a culinary firm, you find struggles of people want to pay low per plate. So when you cut your cost per plate, what that leads to is you leave the budget almost nothing for innovation. To get fancy equipment, to get equipment that allows people to give you gastronomy. So that's to do innovation with the actual food. So for example, a foam gun, a simple foam gun. If you want to make a soup with a foam, like the soup that you eat in winter, you can make a cappuccino soup. But to buy that foam gun costs $300. But for me to have that foam gun, I need to know that I've got an operating budget, which is supplemented by me being able to have a higher cost per plate for my functions, so that I can invest in things to make. So when you go to my function, like, wow, did you see that? The food was amazing. Yes, it was a foam soup. There was, what's it called? They call it dry ice. When the food is smoking. You want live canapes, people walking around you, burning meat, and it's going. That kind of those people want that. But at the same time, people can only afford X. But I feel like people can afford to pay for those experiences. But there's also now what's coming now. Remember, we spoke about a lot of those people who are unemployed.
Yes.
So what has happened is, because those people don't have a system yet to follow, a lot of them have gone into informal catering. So what happens is, in being lucky on social media and talking to people, maybe they get a good gig. So they get a corporate gig for 200 people from Econet, and they've got a certificate from Mishek under the tree.
Yes.
And then they get money. The money is used, it's eaten, and then Econet is having their lunch. Then the lunch is for 200 people. Then at 50 people, the food is finished. And if those 50 people eat, the food is not good. What happens? Econet is like, we will not pay, a premium anymore, because the culinary service providers in Zimbabwe are low. Yet there's competitive and very good ones out there. I hope I'm one of them. There's an Adananai, there's an mixologist. They're out there. And they've developed a good brand and good consistency, so they can attract clients who can pay what. And if you see what they present, it does show innovation. Yes, they do the innovation. However, like I said, because it's not governed and not controlled, so a lot of people who think, also there's a big debate on what is a chef, but a lot of people who call themselves chef take on jobs they're not qualified for as well, so people feel disappointed, and so people are willing to spend less. So I'll give you an example. People want to pay a chef in Zimbabwe a month $300. A full-time chef, that's the whole month at home. At that level, for example, in the United States, you can take home $2,500 starting. You see where it is. So now the chef you're living in with for $300, he can't get nice tools because he's barely making his ends meet. So now he's just going to give you the bare minimum. But now what comes first? Do we improve our game, then increase the price, or the customers pay for more to get more? What comes first?
Definitely because if a client is going to pay much more money, then they need to see that their money is going somewhere that is good. So
yes,
we need to increase our budget and our research into innovation, like really getting the proper facilities and proper tools.
Yes.
So that when I become a chef, I charge $10,000.
Okay.
The client will be like, no, they are really getting something meaningful for the money that they are paying. Yeah, because we hear about this budget, like each and every year, the financial budget of the economy, and then when we now try to see where the budget is really going into, like, because what we need to also realize as a country is that these industries, the culinary industries, this small industry are the ones that can actually have more potential to generate something for the people and the communities.
Yes.
These are industries that can really give someone who, like, because these are industries that don't say if you had 15 points or if you had 10. It's just about, as you mentioned, your attitude, your willingness to learn, and your skills, like the natural talents that you have. So if we are to invest and research more and innovate in terms of innovation within these industries, I tell you, we can really make it as a society as a
100%.
whole. Now, still speaking on innovation, if you were to design, this is just a question that I just, because you mentioned something like a cappuccino soup.
Yeah.
What is that? I think I'm going to need a picture to also show to the audience.
All right.
What is a cappuccino soup? Because I know cappuccino, but Now, what is a cappuccino soup?
So what is a cappuccino soup? So cappuccino soup, for example, what we could do probably, let's use, so pumpkin goes well with cinnamon, right?
Okay.
Or butternut. So what we can do is maybe we'll do a butternut soup, but we thin it out like a tea. So we'll serve it out in a teacup. What we'll do is, when they do cappuccino, they have the steamed milk. So we'll steam our milk with cinnamon. Then we'll top it. So when you're drinking your soup, it's a cappuccino soup. And then you have the white froth on your nose and everything.
Okay.
Yes, that kind of thing. So basically, the soup can change, but it's the method and the techniques that we need to apply to have it work out that way.
You also mentioned I literally had no idea that. I'm not forgetting the name, but you mentioned it when the smoke on
flambe.
Yeah, it's not flambe. Something that you mentioned.
Oh, dry ice.
Yeah, dry ice.
Yes.
Like, how does it really work?
So dry ice is that it's a chemical reaction. So basically, when it starts to meet with oxygen, it will start to create that smoky effect. So it just looks nice. So you can put in your drinks. When you drink it's smoky.
Yeah, I see people like doing cocktails and what the
yes. So then you can also get like a smoker. And you can smoke your actual drinks. That changes the flavor of your mocktails. Like people are doing smoked pineapple cocktails. So there's many more things you can have access to, as long as whoever's trying to give the service has some sort of access to some sort of budget. Is it coming from the government? Is it coming from them being able to charge enough to make a living, pay their wages, and then leave some to invest in the experience? Because it's equipment that you need, as well as sometimes you need to go to learn about certain things. So yeah, it's a tough place to be innovative, I'll say that, as a person who's just recently started, but I believe we're making some inroads. A lot of the conversations we have, I won't lie to you, for example, say to a person, for what you're asking for, let's do $30 a plate. And they'll be like, okay, but you told me I can do it for $2.50. And I'm like, okay, look, I can't do anything at $2.50. That's unfortunate. And then you can go speak to an. I wouldn't lie to you. When that has happened, I've had 70% of the time people call back and say, I should have just paid because it was so disappointing to saving the dollars. So now I've spoiled my big day, whether it's a wedding, a aurora, celebration. So sometimes people need to just, also from the consumer side, that's actually a big one that I have to put out there for the consumers. So the consumer, for example, especially weddings, I actually have to say this one. I have to do. So you hear wedding dress 8K, venue 10K, whatever, cake 6K, whatever it is. Food budget $500. Why are you doing that? You have a $50,000 budget for wedding, but you want to put $500 to food. Food is sustenance. Food is enjoyment.
Chef Itayi to make the dry ice and steaming one.
Yes. So once again, what comes first? The chicken and the egg. Right. But what I have, the solemn promise I have for people, for myself, and I've seen other people in the market who are doing it, is when you want something special, don't be afraid to invest it. Just go invest in the right person. And yeah, just reach out to the right service providers and you can get an experience with it. And I'm sure if you go on social media, you'll see a lot of them, because there are some people bringing their A game. It's actually there's people just don't know it, but there's actually people doing it out there.
When I get some culinary lessons from Chef Itayi. Yeah. Chef Itayi, I think my takeaway from what you just explained is investment in research.
Yes.
It's really important in any business, in any trade, in anything that you want to make it profitable for you, because there is no way someone is going to come and invest in something that I also don't want to invest.
Yeah.
So that is really important. I hope our audience are really taking note of this important information. Now let's come to the African food and keeping our identity.
Yes.
Before. Like, how do you really balance your Zimbabwean identity in the way that you present your food, present your style, and also trying to also incorporate the modern ways or the foreign ways that you have had to learn throughout your journey from different countries and different people?
All right. So for me, I use So food is culture. Food is also history. So I know that in our culture, growing up, our economy was very much farming economy. So we're also high starch eaters, but we also need to shift that paradigm because of diabetes and so forth. But unfortunately, it's a slow process, which we can get to do. But so that's just something I'm just saying that. So it's a consideration I do when I make my menus and I present my food to people. That you have to have starch, and then also flavors and textures. For example, I have a little online thing that I do. It's got an Asian fused menu, but I put it's above an ingredient. So I'll make like an Asian stir fry, but I'll use kale, tofu, right? Or I'll braise my bonzo, and then I'll use that meat as a filling. So what happens is it's foreign techniques but mixed with flavors we're familiar with. So the brain is familiar with, like, wow, okay, this is nice, but I've never had this before. So it's that innovative, like it's a double punch, like it's something innovative and different, but you're still keeping me rooted, right? So I'll give you a simple thing. So I'll make a bail bun with maybe a beef stir fry, but I'll put a coleslaw. Coleslaw is very embedded in our society, as you know, where this you see that. But now people are like, wow, it tastes so good, and it's a different texture and different experience. So now what I've realized now, just also because, like I said, in our economy, even on Monday to Friday, especially in the CBD, and also our town is becoming decentralized, people can eat local traditional food for cheap, which now puts people again at a crossroad of innovation. Or is it a business model that I want to do? I want to build a nice premises only to make 50 cents a plate. So what we need to do as chefs and culinary people as a whole is start to sell the experience. Tell people, let me remind you of your childhood. We have a lot of people coming from abroad. We have tourism. A lot of even people, local people, I'm sure they're willing to go and have an experience, have authentic food. Because now, I was actually having a conversation with the chef a couple of weeks back. Some of our road runners are no longer road runners. Actually, summer pellets. They're eating pellets and everything. So is it really a road runner? Yes, the gene is road runner, but it's not. It's a road runner in 8 weeks. If you go to a grandparent's house, road runners, how old are they? 6 months, 7 months. That's proper road runner.
My grandfather also used to run like that. Tell you this is a 5-year-old.
You see now.
And it's still running.
Yes, that's a proper road run. So now we have to sell people the experience and say, come experience your childhood or something. Because once you sell the experience, people will come and they'll probably pay more than to say, okay, but that's going to take a SATS and my pounds of food, $10. Am I crazy? Or so because we've been ingrained that Monday to Friday, I can just go downstairs at the office. Someone is 50 cents, $1.50. So now, what are we doing on the weekend? Nothing. Now people are eating the posh food, the fast food, and So now we need to start as chefs to embrace our culture and say, look, let us sell an experience. Because there's many foods, as much as we like to believe, there's many cultures. There's Manika, there's Bulawayo, there's Isidebele, there's many places. You can go to Binga, we can go to Limpopo, there's vendor people, there's different cultural regions. So we can do recipes from there, bring different kinds of cooking techniques and recipes from each and every place. So maybe on your menu have the Venda experience, the Tsonga experience, Isindibele experience, and then people will come and they'll be curious and they'll be willing to pay as long as you now do the authentic experience. So once we embrace that and start to give it to the people at a consistent basis, we can do well. One guy who's done well, I don't know if you heard of Mr. Gawa, by Gawa still.
Yeah, Gawa.
Yes. He's just said, I'm just going to do traditional food, and he's just been consistent with it. There's other people who've tried this Capoto, and then they do really well about, the experience. Yes. Yeah, Felinandi. So they do well in giving you the experience and trying to say, touch so now we have to tell the story with the food. So now you ask me, how do I do it with my food, for example? I tell stories with food. Every time my clients have my food, they're like, wow, this is an experience. It was amazing. It reminds me of my childhood. Just because I use flavors and recipes and techniques that we use. If you've seen some of my pages, when I'm free, I go out. I'll go to Headcliff with Dust. I'll go to Marondera. If someone tells me, I've had the best mazondo in Murewa, I will go there. I've gone so far. I've gone as far as Kwekwe to taste food made by different people to understand why is this being said it's good. How is it renowned? That it's being sold in Kwekwe, but I mean, I ride and someone is telling me, go and try it. My bones are there. So I go there. I say, can I come in and learn? So then I learn the technique. So that's how I do it. Because most people think food is you have to do fancy, shiny stuff. At the end of the day, taste is key, and taste is rooted to nostalgia, to memory. So yeah, it's actually like an oxymoron. Our taste buds have no memory, but our minds do. So kind of take. And so now people start to feel back. And good thing is when people are sitting there, this food was good. It was like my grandmother's food, that kind of thing. So you have to try to. So every time you sit down with the clients, you talk to them. Okay, I can do innovative things, make it look nice, make it look taste fancy. We can bring in foreign ingredients, but the key thing is we can't be too foreign. It can't be, it becomes too foreign. It's like, what are we eating? What's happening here? The brain is confused, and then the experience is adverse rather. So you have to still have those core root elements. If you're doing like a dessert, where for example you do an ice cream that's you make ice cream from hand, and you do a crema or gel. What you can do is maybe you can do a masau crema. I won't get into the science of how you make it, but you do have the masau flavor, and you can do a mauyu dust. So now you have masau, people like masau, and then you have people like mauyu, and it's ice cream. People like eating it. You see.
But I just have a question.
Yes.
Why is it traditional food is actually more expensive than fast and organic?
What is what? Traditional food?
Yeah, because I've noticed that if you go into a restaurant, like the traditional menu, the prices are placed much bit higher than the prices that are why is that? Like, why is a plate of Tanzania more expensive than buying a box of chicken and chips?
Okay. So I guess people hiding behind the word niche. They're now selling a niche. Yeah. And the reason also it's become a niche is when you're doing your menu construction, you have what we call power horses, your niche items. So your niche items they give you high revenue, but they don't sell as much on the menu. Then your power horses are things that will sell a lot, but they have a small margin contribution. So, for example, a chicken industry, chicken and chips, or whatever, right? Lots of people buy that. But of course, a group of 6 people come, maybe one person wants to try certain issue. So that's your higher pricing. So that's in those kind of restaurants. But then, to answer the question, it's because people are hiding behind the niche thing, and it's not something that's bought popularly. So they do that. And so if it's not bought often, supply and demand as well, the price will go up. So that is why it shouldn't be that way. But what should be, if let's say we now do a strictly traditional menu, there should be items that can be more expensive. For example, like if you did a proper road runner at 2 years, 1 year, that should be more expensive than Tanzania baby beef stew or something. Yes. Yes. Because the actual cost of getting the item is more. Yes.
A lot. Because I was always wondering why is it expensive, but then this recipe is foreign, why is it cheap?
Yeah.
But then when you actually put it that way, it actually makes the most. Yeah. Now, Chef Itayi, as we try to wrap up this episode with you, here at Chiedza CheAfrica, we are all about empowering young people, especially girls, into gaining skills that are valuable for them, into developing themselves into something more, and also highlighting on the solutions that Africa can take into having sustainable development goals, into bringing those into reviving certain industries that we think don't contribute much, but they actually do. What can you say to someone out there who's listening and or who's watching the Chiedza CheAfrica podcast? Uh, I know we mentioned that people need to be resourceful. Don't wait. Don't play the victim card. But but I don't have tea and nacha kati. Trying to be resourceful. And then what can you also tell the person who already has the resources but they don't know how to fully utilize them into making something? Because I might have resources at my hands, but then I don't have the actual push to say, fine, okay, now I can really do this. I can contribute this and this to the gap that is offered.
So I guess attain exposure. But when I say attain exposure, it doesn't always mean go outside of the country. Going out of the country is a plus, but we live in the day and age of the internet. So you can read books, actual books, recipe books. I have a ton of recipe books that I read on a daily basis to refresh, to learn new recipes. I get them from different kinds of chefs, but different kinds of chefs have different specialities. But at the same time, also, when you do that, you pick and choose what you want, but you still apply your own style. Yeah. So another thing to do, like I mentioned slightly earlier, mentorship. Get a mentor. If someone inspires you, ask them to be a mentor. Break down the conversation, be casual, and be, because they'll also push you in a professional way. They'll hold you accountable without the, for example, emotional affection with parents. Because the parents, they may want to push you, but they'll be scared you fail, and they want to see you disappointed, so they will never tell you the truth. But your mentor can do that to you. Exactly, that kind of thing. So that also helps. Social media. Yes, social media is fun to catch up with funny stories, jokes, humor, what's happening around the city, but use it to your advantage. People are posting information, cooking recipes, cooking videos, a lot of videos about how to build your brand, how to start your business. So people are putting textbooks on the internet for you. Yes, you got ebooks, you got actually textbooks, as well as interactive, engaging videos, podcasts like this. So learn. If you don't have access to all of the above mentioned, which I don't think is possible, talk to other people, cook with other people who you think you can learn from. And if you have resources, or if you don't, but you still want to learn, a lot of people, if you approach them nicely, myself included, and say, look, I have this plan, but I just want to see what it looks like in reality. Can I work with you for a day, a week? If it means you don't want to be paid, it's okay. If you need transport, communicate that. But I might need some transport, or to make it sustainable. The keyword sustainable. Don't work in an unsustainable way that you become resentful, and then you start to hate your career, hate yourself, and then you end up getting back to square one again. So the idea is also, like you said, sustainability. So learn from someone. Books, ebooks, textbooks, online, everything. There's many resources. Even, like I said, I think one of those things will help you for sure.
Okay, I've definitely learned a lot. Especially on the part of mentorship.
Yeah.
All the episodes that I have had with people from something, they keep on emphasizing the importance of having someone who is already in that space that you want to go, someone who already has certain experience that you can learn from on a daily basis. And it's really important for people to go just give someone a hello. On social media, we are always so clouded by scandals, by gossip news, but just a simple DM can change one's life. That is the power of being open-minded to new possibilities. I definitely learned a lot. Can I be a student?
Sure. When do you start? When do you start? Okay, cool. So we have 200 chickens that need to be wundurad.
Okay, I can do that.